Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for another episode of I Only Ask Because. I'm your host Tony, my co-host Dr. E. So we're gonna get right into making y'all mad. But first off, before we actually get to what our main topic is for the day, I want to discuss the I don't know if you saw that plane that tried to land in Toronto
I did.
and then it like flipped upside down.
I did.
I know you've been flying a lot recently, but is it just that we have all these phones and cameras or whatever? Like, what's really going on here where you're seeing all these accidents really play out the past several months where several fatalities across the world, and then you see these instances where people could have died, but it's just feel like there's a lot more air incidents going on.
I agree with you. I think that in addition to having to fly a lot over the past few weeks because I have a relative who's really sick in another city, and so I've been flying more than usual. But I also flew professionally as a flight attendant back in the 1980s, where when you could still smoke on airplanes. Looking back, that doesn't really seem like a good idea. Um, as far as travel goes, air travel is still statistically one of the safest ways to travel. But I do feel like recently, and a lot of times these things happen in clusters. So
Right.
I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist or anything. Yes, we do have more. Like, I couldn't believe somebody was evacuating a plane and recording that. Like, there's something that's not really a great idea about that. Again, not to criticize the person, but I know myself, I don't think I know where my phone was, my purse was. I might not know where I am. I'm getting off that plane. But so we live in different times is all I'm saying. Hats off to the flight crew. Because a lot of times people think that the flight crew is there, to make you more comfortable, and that's part of the job. But even in my day, you went through over like 5 weeks straight of safety training,
Mm-hmm.
and so that really is the primary job of the flight crew, is to keep everybody safe. I don't want to go as far as saying that there's something afoot, because we're having all of these, we're seeing all of these air disasters, but I can't really attribute it only to our new technology. A lot of things you can, when you talk about people being beaten by the police, for example, or things that we would not have seen were it not for our personal devices. But I think as far as air travel, with the NTSB and with the media, the way it's set up now, I do feel like we would have heard about these particular incidents anyway.
Yeah, I think you make a good point because I investigate every so often when you hear of one of these crazy disasters. Media's been like this for decades where the stuff that would get the most attention is what we hear about the most. But one of the reasons I think TikTok and Instagram with these algorithms is so powerful is because you'll watch, let's say, that DC where the Black Hawk helicopter flew into that plane that was landing. You watch that video, and all of a sudden they're showing you video of that plane in Korea, the Jeju plane or whatever, where 179 people died. I think two actually made it out. You see all of these, and you're like, oh, well, I wouldn't have seen that if I hadn't have clicked on this video and watched this 3 times or whatever. And you do see, I mean, every time, like you said, the NTSB, whenever something happens, there's basically a record of it. And you'll see stuff where yesterday this plane had to make an emergency landing because of this, or this plane had to turn back around because of that. And it's every day, every other day, there is some sort of incident that happens. Usually it's not anything where the whole plane just bursts into flames, or it flies into, or the landing gear goes out, the plane goes into a brick wall, or the plane is landing and it gets hit by a helicopter. I feel like a lot of that, like you said, is somewhat coincidental, but then there are also instances where there's so much, I feel, that goes into flying that people don't understand. You have air traffic control, you have all of these sensors and mechanisms that are actually on the plane that are helping you stay safe. If one of these goes wrong and then it trips this, or a pilot decides to do this to avoid this, but then they run into this, it's not just like most passengers experience where you're sitting in the seat and they just say, fasten seatbelt signs off. We're coming around with the snacks. There's so much that goes on all the time. And it's crazy that you're seeing all this unfold because of social media and things of that nature, where it's one thing to read about it, it's another thing to see an airplane burst into flames because somebody had a video and they put it out on the internet. So,
No, I agree with you. I agree with you on every point. Really, I don't have a post point for you.